Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you again for joining me. This is Break Free from Your Monkey Mind podcast, season 2, episode 2. This week it's just myself. I don't not need any guests for this. I think I want to talk about, I mentioned at the end of last week's episode, was resilience. Something I keep hearing the word bandied around by people, but when I talk to different people, I get different answers of what it means to them. And it's one of those things that seems to be so many different things for people. I decided to look up a definition. So it says the capability of a strained body to recover its size and shape after deformation caused especially by compressive stress, or an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Sounds a bit complicated, doesn't it? I think a term that I had someone use was bounce back ability. Don't even know if it suddenly exists as a word, but I really love the sound of it. And it meant exactly, or I knew what it meant exactly as soon as I heard that, that sometimes people go through so much in their life. And there's certain people who seem to look, at least on the outside, as though they deal with it better than others. But do they really? Bounce back ability can sometimes be a way of hiding things from others. You had the term about a mask on or a persona. Sometimes it can be that. Some people really are good at it, but others aren't. And instead of actually looking to find out why and what they can do different, they sometimes hide behind that, or it goes the opposite. And they realize that they feel they cannot do that. So they withdraw from it and they just can't cope with whatever the situation is. The one thing I'd say about it is it's definitely a skill. Resilience is a skill about strength. But you need to develop it in yourself. I don't mean strength isn't always having to be tough or having to break through things. Sometimes strength of things is just to admit when you cannot do something. So you need to find a better way of achieving that goal or moving forward, because the way you thought you were going to have to do it just isn't right for you. It's necessary to find skills of perseverance, maybe, because throughout your life, we do face continual setbacks. It's not a daily thing. It just happens and that's it, it's gone. Every day we've got setbacks, ups, downs, things. You can have it in the morning, but afternoon you feel great. And again, later on something can happen. But it is again back to how we deal with these things. Resilience refers to the capability to recover from difficulty, to find your inner strength. Sometimes it just, reading a quote for resilience can actually help us to access like what we call a willpower, help us to deal with things. And instead of simply surviving or putting your heads in the sand, like I said earlier, people who just don't know how to cope, that can lead to anxiety, depression, stress at least. Resilience determines whether we become defeated by life's obstacles or the humps in the road that they put in the way, or do we fight through them and grow stronger? As a growth mindset coach, that's something I would get people to do, is hopefully learn from the lessons in life they've got and teach them that if we're always trying to move forward, if we learn from these lessons and we're trying to find ways forward, that's what growth mindset really is. Not standing still, not accepting and thinking you accept, oh, this is me. This is all I am, all I'm going to be. A growth mindset just means that you're willing to learn. You're willing to put that hard effort in. And you're willing to push forward and hopefully have people around you that help you to do that. Building resilience by using techniques is basically how to cope with the inevitable sort of challenges or anything that life can throw at you. A great thing every single one of us possesses is the ability to have mental strength. It doesn't exist inside us all. It's just finding how we actually initiate that, how we do it. So if you're experiencing a hard time and you need some inspiration, maybe to stay tough or at least to keep moving, to keep going forward, I've got something here that's 7 powerful resilience quotes that may inspire you to find inner strength. I think it was a guy called Calvin Holbrook. I think he's an editor for the Happily magazine. It was somewhere I read this thing and they really stuck out for me. So I thought maybe explain a bit about them and see how they are for you. The one thing that's always is about telling your story. Have you ever gone over and over something bad, especially that's happened to you in your head? You got all those different thoughts about what I wish I hadn't done that. Why didn't I do this? What is going to happen now? What's going to happen next? What are they going to think? We always have so many thoughts. I think I've mentioned before, you've got anywhere between 10 and 60,000 thoughts a day. That's not capable for our brains to cope with that. We have to learn to acknowledge and accept. Acknowledge it. There's a thought there, accept it, but you don't need to keep it. If it's not right for you, let it go. Don't hold on to negative thoughts. Perhaps you could even wonder how, if you behave differently, things might have been different. That's known as remuneration. And this reliving of pain experiences, reliving the nothingness that you feel, that's what helps us and can obviously lead us to anxiety, to depression. But if nothing else, it's going to be stress. Instead, you need to find ways of resetting your thoughts. One way to do this is called expressive writing. This involves writing down anything that comes into your head or whatever is bothering you. It'll allow you to examine your thoughts and to confront them. Some people call it journaling. You've heard it, or diary. But the way I look at it is each day, at the end of the day, I write 3 things down that was a challenge for me that day. Things that I've managed to face. And then the next morning, I look at them again and say, right, that's how I did that yesterday. If I get some similar today, it means I'm better prepared because I'll know in advance if these situations come up, I'm ready for them. I know what I'm going to be doing. But other people may find it better to write everything down. So they've got a big journal and they write all thoughts down. That's good as well. It's finding what's right for you. If nothing else, and you get stuck with these thoughts, try a brain dump. What I mean by that is just get a piece of paper, A4 size if you can, and literally sit and write everything down that comes into your mind. Everything. Don't matter what the thoughts are, just put it all down. And no, don't put sentences and don't put full stops and commas and things. Literally, it's a brain dump for a reason. You dump every thought you've got at that time on this paper. Because when you do that, you've got more space in your head for the thoughts you need. You've got rid of all of them. Once they're out, they're gone. If it helps and you're looking at it and you say, I don't need any of that, if it's safe to do so, find a wee bit outside you can do. Set it on fire and just watch it burn away. Just look up the sky when you see that smoke going up and go, that's all those negative thoughts gone. I don't need them anymore. Just let them go. That's the way of bouncing back. You've dealt with the situation, you've accepted and you've acknowledged you've got these thoughts. You know these things have happened, but I want rid of them. Instead, you just need to find ways of resetting your thoughts. That's one way. Another way to do it is the expressive writing. That can be so good when you're doing like journaling if it really expresses all emotions. So don't just put things down and try and do it nicely. Put down the emotion behind it. A thought is just a thought. But once we give it an emotion, it's part of us. It's something that's there. So put that emotion down as well. Write it expressive and how that feels. What kind of sense did you get? What did you see when you thought that? Any of the emotion feelings you can think of, stick it down. There was something in a study in 1998 that compared expressive writers with those who wrote about superficial topics. And it found that those who carried out expressive writing for 4 days were healthier. And that's a big thing to think of then. So have you ever gone on that way that you thought, well, that's what I want to do, something like that. And 6 weeks after they did this, they people still happier. And up to 3 months later, the same. So imagine if you kept doing it every day, how long that would be, you'd be happy. That's something to think about, isn't it? Another exercise is called finding silver linings. You sometimes hear that in book clouds. Every clouds get a silver lining, don't you? That's some people talk about. So though it may not seem as though there are any benefits to a bad experience, remember your mind is always doing it for a positive intention. So even though we see things as bad, your mind is doing it because either it protects you or it's just wanting to let you know that there's going to be issues there or dangers there, just so you reflect and reevaluate the situation before you jump in. In fact, maybe it showed you how your real friends are, or it could have taught you that you're stronger than you thought. These things as exercise will help you feel less pessimistic, and you can maintain the benefit by continuing to practice them and build resilience. This resilience building technique is also backed up by science. A study done in 2014 showed that finding silver linings daily for 3 weeks helped participants become more engaged with life afterwards. And that's what I've said for me. I do 3 at night, check again in the morning, and get ready for the ones the next day. So of course I'm going to be a happier end up because, as I said, minds are preparing me. The cleaning one day slate, also prepare me for the next day for things I may face. So that way you're going to be happier because you feel better. You know, if something comes up, you're not going to be worried about it as much. So resilience, like, you can take over. You can actually say, right, that's not for me. But remember, always confront your fears. Adopting the practice of rewriting a narrative is useful when dealing with a past problem, but doesn't help when dealing with things that are present in fears. So you can look at something in the past and say, okay, we say a term like hindsight is great. We can look back and think that's good. If I did this, if I do that next time, I'll be okay. But sometimes if it's in the moment, you've not got that ability. So how can we handle things that have yet to happen? Well, you can start by slowly building your tolerance and gradually pushing yourself a little further. So I said, I do mine by facing things, learning from previous mistakes, learning from difficulties, challenges, and trying to make sure that I've got resources that's helped me to go forward. So instead of simply surviving, you're actually building resilience, because it helps you to cope with inevitable challenges, as we said, that life throws at you, the obstacles, anything you can do. These people say like a curveball comes at you, I can let it happen, because if you build this resilience of resources up, you can face it up and it's not going to worry you so much. An example is if you're nervous about taking, like, say, for example, a long distance flight, but you'd like to one day go somewhere like Australia and maybe go to the Barrier Reef. Begin with a short flight and you gradually build up. So maybe between 2 cities in the UK, then maybe have a holiday in Europe somewhere, maybe close by, France, Spain, maybe try something a wee bit further, even Croatia, somewhere like that. And you're gradually building up a tolerance to the flights, because each time you go, you're learning from the experiences you had before, so you'll feel better. So one day when you say, that's it, I'm going to go to Australia and do that dream, don't wait to a bucket list when you know it's about dying. Do it when you can. So you've got that ability, you've got that resilience, that tolerance to say, I'm going to go, I've done all those other flights, why can't I face this one? That's a good way of looking at it. Another thing that really helps is meditation or mindfulness. These are fantastic tools when it comes to resilience. They help bring us back to the present, to look in this moment, rather than living in the past or even thinking of the future. The techniques you talk about here with meditation and mindfulness are quite similar to people. Mindfulness, a lot of people think is a shorter version of meditation, but you can try programs like mindfulness-based stress reduction, it's called MBSR, which are designed to show you how to use meditation to improve your mental and physical well-being. There is at happiness.com, as I said, that's where I got a lot of these things from. Their magazine that you can get ideas like this on. So if you look up happiness.com, you'll find everything I'm saying, because this is where I got this from. And they have a free online MBSR course that you can take. Now, what's not to take in that? If it's free, it's a resource, it's going to help you in the future, please have a look. So that's happiness.com, and it's the MBSR course. So it's mindfulness-based stress reduction. Mindfulness can be such a brilliant thing, and it doesn't have to be at night, in the morning, whatever. You can do it anytime. 5, 6, 7 minutes is all you need. Sit down and just relax into that moment. It helps you, that'll help you understand how to breathe, how to just get relaxed, how to chill, and how to stop all those chatter, the monkey thoughts, the monkey brain, all these thoughts that's going. Just stay in that moment, just for 5 or 6 minutes. And what you will be surprised that though it's relaxing, you feel energized, you feel ready to face whatever you've got to do next or the rest of the day. So give it a go. There's also a technique called the body scan. That's some of the mindfulness as well as part of that. And it's used to identify where you hold stress and teach you how to relax in those areas. I do something similar through hypnotherapy, and it's the same thing, the idea as they do. You start from the top of the head and work your way down. I get people to imagine they're under a huge waterfall. And as the waterfall hits you, it's only dry at the moment, but it comes down, just imagine what the power of water's like. Just get a feeling of that come through the top of your head, then come through down behind your eyes, your cheeks, right? If you have that feeling that any tension that's there, it's gradually pushing it down. Think of what about a real waterfall or come down a cliffside. Whenever you see it in a movie or a picture or anything, you always see it pushing, you can see dirt, everything in its way that just gets pushed. It takes everyone with it. That's like going through you. If you go through each part of your body, what it's pushing down is not dirt or stones or that, it's pushing away tension. It's pushing away agitation, nervousness. Anything you have that causes blockages in your system, this body scan will help to release all of that and get it out. It's worth having a go. So have a look at these things about mindfulness. You might find it really does work for you. But there's an even simpler way of doing things to start with. Just be kind to yourself. We're often much harder on ourselves than we would be to other people. And I think that we're not alone in our fears, because a lot of people go through the same thing, but we feel as though we are at that moment in time. Normally, we look so much in, bringing all this stuff inside us, we feel that nobody else can help, nobody else can listen. But self-compassion, such an important thing, is so self-care. Self-care is taking time for yourself. Maybe that wee mindfulness session we just talked about, a wee body scan, maybe reading a book. I've normally got headphones on. People say I'm always listening to music, but that's what it does for me. That's my self-care moment, listening to my music and just let myself relax. I sometimes combine it with a book, and I'll do both. But for you, find a way of doing that, because said it's so important to build resilience through compassion for yourself. So start by being mindful of your feelings. Don't judge them. I said earlier, acknowledge and accept them. They're there for a reason. They're not always bad things. So just simply acknowledge and accept you got those feelings, but if they're not right for you, let it go. Don't hang on to it. Remind yourself that everyone feels this way at some point. And we said the whole world, there's people like this everywhere. We all go through it at one time or another. You're never, ever alone. You always can look out for somebody that someone else will be going through it. And you never know. Maybe there's self-acceptance, self-compassion, you learn things about you that allow you to help someone else. And that is a ripple effect. Because when you can do that for yourself, and somebody else you hear saying, I'm having a bad day, or whatever, you go, oh, I tried this, maybe the body scan, or I did this little exercise, or I just told myself, no, I accept that I have got limitations. I accept there might be things I cannot do, but there's things I can do. Why don't I concentrate on them rather than the things I cannot do? So do that instead. But finish by giving yourself permission to have those feelings. Now, that sounds weird, doesn't it? You want to give yourself permission to have feelings, but it could be right or wrong for you, but it's just by accepting them and say it's okay to have them. Then you accepting it takes a lot away for no regrets, because you've accepted it, you've acknowledged it, and you've let it go. You can't regret it like that. So it's a great way of working for you. Forgiveness. What a simple word, isn't it? We always hear it, forgive. But you can forgive people as well as yourself. Even though it might be difficult, I'm not saying it's easy to do that. But if you hold on to grudges, do you know how much effort that takes? And every time you think you're doing something well and that thought comes back in, it pulls you back down. So how can your well-being be properly looked after if you live in the past all the time? Because that's what you do. I'm saying here I want you to live in the moment, but if you hold grudges, you're living in the past, even if you think you're in the moment, because it's still there. But decide to give it up, let it go, and your feelings of resentment will go, and you'll be able to move on. You never know, even the other person may learn something from your forgiveness that stops them doing something like that to someone else. So have a think about that. It's building resilience. Try to think how to finish this for me. And it's, I think, the bounce back ability I love, but it's also the fact of just being understanding yourself. Resilience can just be that self-compassion, the self-acceptance. And a simple thing you can do with that is gratitude. Think each morning when you wake up. You don't have to be in and out there or thinking crazy, just simple things. What are you grateful for that day? Is it the beautiful family you have around about you? Maybe your house, maybe your pets, maybe your job, your career. It could be anything at all you want to be. In fact, I've woke up this morning. I'm grateful for that. That's a great thing. Look at yourself in the mirror and you go in and just say, yeah, I'm grateful being here. I'm that grateful that I am going to do something today about these thoughts. I'm going to do whatever I can to stop them. I'm not saying you're going to get the go, right, I'm never going to have a negative thought again, because we know that they're for a reason. Said positive intention, those negative thoughts are there to protect you or to help you at least to reevaluate a situation before you move on. So go and do that. Have a look at those things. Say there's something that you can forgive yourself, some self-compassion, understanding what resilience is, maybe a little mindfulness thing. Go and check happily.com. Whatever it is, we all experience these difficulties in life. It's just how we cope with them that's better. Some people are better at doing it than others, but we can learn from that. And as long as we learn from ourselves and each other, we'll keep moving on. However, if you are struggling, you can learn skills to build your resilience. That's what we've been talking about today. So view negative experiences in a different light. Remember, it's there for a positive intention. That can help to build your resilience and teach you how to cope with difficult situations a lot better. There's so many things I could go on about, and people say about the art of living in resilience. It's a great thing by Alain de Botton. It's a quote, the British Swiss philosopher. A good half of the art of living is resilience. Because if we want to move on, we need to be resilient to things life throws us. So that's a really good statement to have. Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. J.K. Rowling. Now look what she's done with her life. But sometimes people say that you have to get to that rock bottom before you can go back up. But if you get to rock bottom and you think about it, there is only one way up. You can't go down. So even if you feel that low, you can't really go any lower and start moving up. One step at a time. Forgive yourself, some self-compassion, some self-care. Your resilience starts to build up. You start moving forward. Another one was, if your heart is broken, make art with the pieces. I love that one. It's a Shane, I hope I do right to pronounce this right, Koyzan. It's Koyczan. The quote's around persevering and staying strong. It comes from award-winning spoken poet, that's Shane Koyzan. And it really hit me when you look at that one, because you can't, people say the heart is broken, but you can make art with it. That basically saying is, whatever the situation is, you can find a positive. There is something there in everything. It's just where we look. And if we open our eyes and our hearts enough to see it, it will be there. Never cease chiseling your own statue. Plotinus, he was a philosopher in Roman, Egyptian times, I think. But that's a great thing as well. They always say that about a diamond, don't they? The inside a diamond is just this beautiful, just a piece of rock, and there's a beautiful diamond in it when you carve bits away. Same with a statue. It starts as a piece of rock, but look how much beauty. The people go to museums having to see these. They go out everywhere in the world to see statues from thousands of years ago. But we can do that ourselves by chiseling away all the negative things. We leave a statue there that people can see something better in us. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down, but got back up. One of the most important people probably in my lifetime that I've seen, with what he's done and what he said, and his actions and values have proven to so many people around the world that they listen to things like William, and that was Nelson Mandela. That is a great thing to say, that it doesn't matter about the falling down part. It's how do you get back and face things? How do you move forward? That is an amazing thing to actually think. Discipline equals freedom. And this is a Jocko Willink. Discipline equals freedom. I was a bit unsure when I first looked at that, but then I thought about it. If you're disciplined, a lot of people think you can have restraints, so how can you be free? But if you're disciplined, it means you're actually controlling a lot of those negative things in you, so you've actually got freedom from them. So by being resilient, you are being disciplined because you're putting processes in place or little things that work for you in place. Maybe the journaling, that's a process, and that's all that. It's being disciplined to do that every day, doing your mindfulness every day. They are, and they help you to be free. So why not give them a go? In my barn, having burned down, I can now see the moon. This one again is someone I hope to pronounce it right. It's a Mazuta Masahid. And I think that's quite self-explanatory for me, as if there's something blocking in front of you, it's not until it goes away before you might see what's actually there. So if you've got all these blockages in you, remember the little body scan we're talking about, can clear them, that stops you thinking or feeling the way you want, you won't get that clarity until you can get rid of them. So have a think about the ways it might work for you. Mine's, I said, is to listen to music, read a book. Other people go love walking in the country or along a beach. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. Everybody's their own way of feeling. Find what's right for you. Change your perspective. That's basically what we're doing. Reframing a situation so it can help you to stay stronger, to move on, whatever is causing you pain. And it just helps you stay resilient. That, to me, is what resilience means. It is being able to face whatever's put in front of us, whether it's individually, as groups, as a whole, nations, the world, whatever. If we all did that and face these negative thoughts, accept them, acknowledge they're there, but let them go, what a better world that would be. And we would be more resilient to anything that's in front of us we could face. But remember, have some of these little coping mechanisms for yourself. Find them, go out and see what works for you. Try different things. Look it up. Look up the internet and just see, look for coping mechanisms for resilience to make you resilient and see what you get. You never know, you might actually enjoy the process as well as doing it, but you will be surprised how much you can face when you do that. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining them again. I really appreciate it. Join us next week for season 2, episode 3. And I'll be looking more next week with someone to discuss different things that they've faced, but trying to give a couple little techniques that can help you to move forward, how to look at your past slightly differently and to learn things from the past so you can move forward. So join me next week and I'll let you know everything that's sent out before it to know when the episode's coming out. So I'll try and do it next Wednesday. It should be out. So thank you again for everybody listening. I really appreciate all the support. If you liked what's been today, please comment on it at tonygordon at changingyourmindltdcom. And remember, the limited is LTD. So tonygordon at changingyourmindltdcom. But if you're also looking for any other help or anything else, questions on resilience or that, let me know. And again, I did say last week, if anybody would love to come on here and explain how they've coped with things or how they've shown their resilience to what they've faced, let me know, because that can only help other people. So thank you very much, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves.